To order at 6:02. All right. So we'll go right into roll call. So say your name and where you are at the meeting from. So I'll go first. Regina Gorham, and I'm in this lovely virtual meeting from my home in Kalamazoo. Fred, do you want to go?
I'm Fred Edison, and I'm at my home in Kalamazoo.
All right. Lene?
Lene Paul Wilson at my home in Kalamazoo.
Kyle?
Not hooked up yet. There he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. My video is not working. Maybe I should re-log in.
You can if you want.
But I'm here.
Okay. Say where you're.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Kyle, in my home in Kalamazoo.
Okay. Thanks, Kyle. And then Sharon, we do guests too, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. David.
David Brose, former commissioner, co-chair of the Kalamazoo Kalamazoo Reservation Public Education Committee. And I'm here in my home in Kalamazoo.
Awesome. All right. Pam.
Pam O'Connor, none of what David said, but I'm coming to you from my home in Kalamazoo.
You're a former commissioner.
Oh, yes, I am.
She is. All right. Wonderful. And like Sharon mentioned, Catherine sent Sharon and I an email that she wasn't able to make it tonight. So we just have to approve her absence. So is there a motion to approve Catherine's absence from the meeting?
I move to approve Catherine's absence.
All right. Sharon, do we need a second, or is it all in favor on that?
No, you need a second, but you can second.
Okay, I will second. All right. All right. On to approval of agenda. Was everything in order to everyone's eyes? Pam, thank you for your sheaf of addendum.
I'm sorry.
No, I appreciated it. But if anybody didn't see anything, then we'll go forward and anybody motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
All right, and I'll second. We need to do an all in favor, don't we?
Yeah,
right. It's been a month, but I'm out of practice. All in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All righty. Okay, we already kind of did it, but introduction of guests. David Brose, home in Kalamazoo. Pam O'Connor, home in Kalamazoo. All right. Any citizen comments on non-agenda items and correspondence?
Yes.
Uh,
I'll defer Pam.
Well,
So far
we'll wait and hear for the recording first.
so far, there's no citizen comments at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. All right,
Okay.
and you want Pam to go first, David?
Sure.
Okay, Pam, go for it.
I just wanted to say that I had sent out an email earlier this week about a meeting to help address envelopes for the annual O'Connor Fund appeal. I've heard back from everybody except for Fred. And Fred, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I wanted to let you know that it's looking like Tuesday the 26th will work for everyone. I'll send out a confirmation, and Fred, if you're going to be available then, if you'd let me know so that I have a pizza count, you're welcome to join us. David Brose, you're welcome to join us too.
Thank you, Pam.
if you can make it. And we're
What
looking
time,
at
Pam?
Tuesday, the 26th at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. I should be able to make that.
Great.
Probably down. I'll let you know real quick if I've got a conflict on our schedule. We've got girls at a state final golf tournament this weekend in Lansing. I'm helping coach a team there, and but I think that wraps up Saturday. So
Good.
Pam, if you'd send me an email or link or something like that, I'd be,
I will, David.
thank you.
Thank you. That's all I had.
All right.
Um,
Yeah, David.
I guess most of you knew that we formally reported on the mound ground penetrating radar study at the last meeting of the city commission. I do want to reiterate that there was a public report turned into the city. I think it's probably now accessible on the city's website. That was heavily redacted by the tribal historic preservation officer, and the tribal council had some images and some statements they did not want sent out to the public. There is a full technical report that's gone to the city, to the Parks Department, with all of the details of where every little ping was, so that they can avoid putting a power line or a sprinkler head in the middle of it. And a copy of that has gone to the State Historic Preservation Office, to the Archaeology Department there, so that they'll have the ground penetrating radar signatures and the archaeological interpretations of those for future reference. So I think everybody here has had an opportunity. A couple months ago, I sort of went through a quick PowerPoint presentation for that. So if there are any particular questions any of the commissioners or former commissioners have, if they'll just address them to me, either here or off record, I'd be happy to provide what information I can. Right now, the signs are being prepared for the spring. The 4 signs on the corners of the mound, more or less on the corners of the mound, in that quadrant. And Regina, I think we need to have a meeting of the Reservation Education Committee to see where we go next. We still have on the table the elaborate and highly expensive signs in the 4 corners. We deferred that at the beginning of COVID, but I think we probably want to readdress that and look at some more functional and pragmatically possible ways of putting those signs up. The property owners are still interested, but I don't think anybody's going to be prepared to raise what looked like it was going to be $250,000. Well,
Yeah.
that's what it was
Yeah.
costed out to be. They were very elaborate. They were lovely, but I think they probably were prettier than the purpose they needed to fulfill.
Yeah. Yeah, I can, I prepared for the, so the Reservation Public Education Committee is under action discussion 7A1. So I prepared Sharon. I have links to the meeting presentation if anybody wants to look at it, and then also to some other things. So I'll go over that when we get there in section 7. David, was that everything?
Everything I have.
Okay, perfect.
I may not stay through seven items, but
That's okay.
Brad,
David,
yes,
what's a good way to get a hold of you? A good play of
email.
email?
Yeah.
Could you give me that real quick?
dbros@umish.edu.
Okay.
Not WMish like people around here have.
umish
Yeah.
.edu.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Pam.
This is for David. Question. The full report, is it available upon request from the State Historic Preservation Office?
I don't know the answer to that question. Because I would, okay, a lot of stuff that goes into the State Preservation Office is not available except on a need-to-know basis, because it has the location of archaeological and historical sites.
Right.
On the other hand, there's no question about where this damn thing is located. Everybody knows that. I think I think the reason the tribal council was a little hesitant to have that all made public is that there were some radar signatures that are outside the mound itself, but within that quadrant, probably related to some kind of activity at the same level that the mound was being built. They're not pits filled with bodies or goodies, but there are probably indications of fires having been lit at that ground surface. I think you can probably write Mike Hombacher. I think he's a new state historic preservation archaeologist, and ask him. Or I've actually begun dealing with Ben Segunda, who handles all the MAGPRA work with all of the Michigan tribes for the University of Michigan, to ask him for his opinion. Before it goes formal, I think I'd like to get back to Phyllis Davis and get her opinion on it. But yeah, I think you can probably get that. I think you can probably get that.
So you're talking about Michael Hombacher, is that what I heard you say?
Yes.
All right, so if I were to make a request to him, would it be appropriate to copy you?
That'd be lovely. Sure. Mike knows who I am because I think I gave him his first job as an undergraduate back in Ohio.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Also, in the non-agenda, Sharon, thank you for including the letter from, well, the state of Michigan, but regarding the preservation awards for the hospital gate cottage. That was great to see. Did everybody read it? It's very nice there. Awesome. Okay. Sharon, did you have anything else to say about the letter? Okay.
Nope.
Just wanted to make sure. All righty. So item 6, financial report.
I don't think we've taken money out or in since our last meeting. So it's, we
Yeah.
haven't had a lot of activity.
No, but next month, I'm going to get a hold of Beth Cheeseman, because next month I think we have to submit something for 2022. So I want to make sure that our numbers are in line, and the budget that I proposed, what was that, in July? Make sure it's okay before submitting, because I think they have to have final approvals by January. So next month we'll definitely have something that we need to vote on and procure, so I can submit that.
Great. I think there was a note actually in the meeting minutes from last month about whether or not we voted on the budget. And I don't think we did at
I
the
don't think we did
last
either.
meeting. And I think it was partly because there hadn't been a lot of answers, but we'll get
Right, the other thing is, I think the last conversation was that we were going to think about, the group was going to think about things that we might want to purchase next year, because a lot of things went away, such as Pam's project with the book, with the lost and found and all, so we don't have anything really else. But then also we were going to wait until Sharon's replacement, or try to see where they would like to direct this group going forward. So it could be that by next month we just submit what we have, and maybe later we'll have to just make addendums if we need to make changes, because we wanted to respect the new person coming in so that they could have that opportunity to direct us where we should go. So
Yep, and that's you're right, we need to get it by November, because then they start presenting the full budget to the city commission for approval after the election. Then that's one of the first things the commission will do, is start working on the budget for approval in mid-December. So yeah, we need to get it to them at our November meeting.
Okay. All right. Lene, if you're good with the financial report, we'll keep rolling forward to action and discussion. Diversity and inclusion. I know I have
So
things
I
to say
think-
for reservation, but yeah, what do you all
I
have?
think Kate was supposed to do some follow-up and get a hold of somebody, Sharon, wasn't she? She was supposed to get a hold of somebody.
Was she gonna get a hold of Michelle or was I gonna do that? Because I've done that.
Oh,
Michelle Johnson. We've got a meeting set up for
The 19th.
the 19th. Yeah, so next week. And we're going to have lunch together at Food Dance and talk about things. There's a grant available from the National Trust that kind of fits very neatly into the sort of work that we're planning. So we're going to talk about that. The application deadline, I think, for that grant, they're never going to open it up to applications until the middle of November. So we've got time for some discussions and to talk about it. So, and Regina's going to join us if she can, and we're going to just kind of try to figure out what direction to go and where to go. It sounds to me from one of her comments that she may not be as deeply involved with TRHT as she was.
Well, and it looks like the landscape project, the one that would align really well with us, is not sitting with TRHT,
Okay,
that it's with the separate public history consortium that she has been working in. So I think it'll be good to get some clarity because it's a little confusing
yeah,
to know who to talk to or where. So I think that will be a very fruitful meeting.
yep. I feel it's kind of like you can't tell the players without a program. You know, we kind of have an idea of where the
Yeah.
players are and what's happening and then figuring out how we fit into that. So, yeah. So we've made some progress. That's a small thing.
it'll be a delicious meeting too. Food.
Why,
dance.
Yeah.
Sharon, this is a diversity and inclusion meeting.
Yeah, it's gonna be this kind of an informal meeting. Michelle and I have been kind of chasing each other with let's to get together meeting tags and being canceled like 3 or 4 times now. So part of it is us just getting together, but also this is the major discussion at the preliminary stage is going to be about how the HPC can fit into the projects that she's seeing happening, and just, she'll be our native guide, at least temporarily.
And you said a time. What time was it at Food Dance?
Oh, we're going to be, I think it's at 11:30, but it's really just going to be a very small meeting, Fred. It's not going to be a meeting of the whole committee.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, we will
Can
do
we
that.
come, or is it better to stay small?
Well, I think you should stay small with people that Michelle already knows,
Okay.
and then we can just see where we go from there. But I'm sure that there will be other opportunities. We will be getting together because this is something the HPC has made it very clear they want to be very seriously involved with. And, this is where we're going to have to start. So.
Pam.
I would encourage you to not limit the meeting to just 3 people, primarily because Sharon's going to be leaving at the end of the year. And it may be helpful to Regina as the chair to have someone else there who is completely on board and informed with Michelle's responses and conversation.
Yeah, I have a offsite donor meeting that morning, so it'll be a tight squeeze for me to get there anyways. So Sharon,
I had 1 foot in the meeting, then I took the foot back out. Did I put both feet back in the meeting or what?
Well, let me check and see what Michelle thinks, because this was, originally she approached me because she wanted to get information from my dad about the killing of the rail bypass project. And then we've just been kind of trying to get together about 3 or 4 other different projects since then. So, this may not be an official meeting per se of the diversity and inclusion group, but it would give us an opportunity to set up another meeting soon that would be a larger group meeting, when maybe someone like maybe Lene could be there, and Fred and Catherine.
You let me know.
Okay. I'm thinking of this as kind of more of an introductory meeting. We're just going to get started and then we'll, report back. But, we have, this is it's very frustrating. I want to plunge forward and do all sorts of things, but I also don't want to take anyone else's steam. I don't want to be the lead on this. So.
Yeah.
I put the foot back out again.
Okay, I'll let you know. I've got to send her an email anyway. If she said,
Yeah.
if she thinks it'd be great to have you along, I'll let you know right away. But the meeting was for like 11:30 on that day. So
Toe on the edge.
there you go.
All right. Does anyone else have comments for that part? Or good? So David talked a little bit about the work of the group. I have already in my notes a link to the video of the meeting. If you didn't see it or you want to watch it again, and Jeff Chamberlain sent out one of the articles covering it. MLive did a story about it. The signs, the coming soon signs, were put up in the park. As far as I know, I have not made it over there yet, but they should have been put up on the 11th. They're there. Awesome. And Tribal Council did do a press release, and I have a link to that too. The Kalamazoo City Facebook page put it up, but if they were just marking the occasion of Indigenous Peoples Day and then also talking about the partnership with the city and the ongoing work around the mound. And David kind of mentioned, we're needing to regroup, redirect, and but there is the plan right now. So coming soon for spring of 2022. So RFPs will start going out again. I think Jeff wanted to do December or January to get us at the front of the line of the contractors and all the projects moving forward for next year in the spring. So things are happening, and David and Phyllis did a great job speaking with City Commission. And David is, hopefully he knows, done such amazing work and has really, I know, pushed himself to ensure that anyone can access the information, that it's not just the, technical end, that it's really anybody can walk up and go, oh, I'll understand this. And that's the exciting part, that'll happen once we can get the signs, the full signs in place, that bringing everybody into the loop, as it were. So thank you very much, David.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been a group effort from the beginning.
Was there anything that I missed that you wanted to add in, or?
Me? No.
Okay. All right.
All I would say is you did a good job digging up some of the early, the 1950s records. And if anybody's interested, when they did that re-excavation of what they thought was a re-excavation and put in the modern time capsule, which some of you will be around in 2054 to pick out. Alexis Prowse did write that up for extensive notes on what they found or didn't find and what they did. And Regina was good enough to be able to find that. I think the most exciting thing was that she found a sketch that was done in 1850 by Mr. Sheldon, which actually showed the location of the jail, not in any of the areas that are now the park.
Really? Wow.
Really? Or at least that's the way it was in 1850.
Where was it?
It was up, it would be, I guess, the northeast quadrant of those four quadrants. The two northern ones, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense next to the courthouse.
Right, if the courthouse was there at that time. He didn't say that.
There was a courthouse there.
Yeah.
It was not even it wasn't even the big fancy one.
Well,
it was a small one.
Not the Art Deco 30s one we have now.
No, or the Baroque Queen Anne one from the 1880s. Okay. They moved away the old wooden courthouse, the original one. They dragged it away somewhere about where I'm sitting right now, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right.
Oh. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit east. West.
Yeah, the Kalamazoo Laundry site, which is pretty much where I am right now. So.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of interesting to find that.
Well, I love a good puzzle.
I had a short conversation with Rachel Hughes Nielsen, who's the you know, the designer that you guys have been working with, and she said that she is on the hunt for grandmother and grandfather stones.
Like,
Mhm.
And these are stones, natural stones, about the size of a basketball. And we need enough to essentially go around the base of the mound like a necklace.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
glacially rounded top stone.
Yeah, they need to be
Boulders.
rounded.
Yeah.
round on top, or do they need to be a whole ball shape?
I think she pretty much has in mind that they'll be relatively spherical. Relative.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and I was wondering, can we put something out about that, like on Facebook, and see if anybody has any? She says she's been going to the landscaping companies and just finding rocks occasionally. And I thought there might be people who have one in their backyard, or some farmer that's dumped half a dozen in his field after plowing them up in the spring. You know, we might, if we got the word out, I think we'd be able to find more.
Where are we supposed to take them if we find them?
That's a good, maybe Rachel's
Yeah, that'll be
backyard.
the question.
That's a question that needs to be answered before we put a call out. So.
Yeah.
Maybe I could send an email out to the group, David, and see what Rachel et cetera thinks about that, and we can go from there. Because yeah, she would end up having to do work of receiving said rounded basketball stones.
There's some place they could go. There might be a place that we could tuck them over in the city yards while they're being collected. You know, I mean, it's just a matter of, because I'd be willing to bet that there are people that have them and would be thrilled to be part of this.
My only question is, at some point, is there going to be kind of like a vetting process by the tribal council? Yes, this one works. No, that one doesn't. Oh, well, I mean.
I think that it probably will happen that way. I know no one has ever said that directly, but I think that with the specifications of what they want for the stones, I would imagine that there's going to be a sort of yay nay scenario happening. So
My suggestion would be that we bring this back to that education committee, because we have three people from the tribal council sitting there.
Yeah.
John and Phyllis and Jody. And maybe we can get an answer to a couple of these questions from them, and then we can put out some information to the public.
Yeah, I can, if you're okay with that, David, I can put an email together and send it out and just see.
Oh, I think that's great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I will do that. Pam, did I see your hand raised?
Yeah, but my question was answered during conversation. Thank you.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, I've got 45 basketball shaped rocks sitting.
I wish.
All right.
Well, I might see you on signing day, Pam, but other than that, I think I'm going to sign out from this meeting this afternoon, okay? Appreciate it.
Actually, may I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Is there going to be a day where this is done and recognized? Because as I recall, there was something that was going to happen in August and it did not.
Correct.
So has there been discussion about once it's all together?
There was a discussion even about doing something at the sign placement for the current signs, but the tribe has chosen to not do any in-person meetings as of October 1st. Yeah. So that was not possible. Indoor, outdoor, doesn't matter. They are not doing meetings. So I think that there's definitely a possibility. And with the landscaping portion of the project, there was talk about tribal members and department members, tribal and non-tribal alike, being involved in the process. So I imagine that there will be planning towards something for the landscaping portion and the signage, and that has been in the background as an intention.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Bye, David. Thank you.
I'm gonna go find my wife and see if I can't work up something for dinner besides cheese and crackers.
Bye. All right. Item B, O'Connor Fund, preservation programs, all the rest.
I'm gonna ask one question first of all. Did everyone have a chance to gobble all of this up?
I read it.
Oh, good. Okay. What I would like to do, if I may, is just kind of work through it document by document and see if there are specific questions or issues. And I'd like, with your permission, to start with the ordinance change. This all has to do with the background work that the O'Connor Fund Committee Grants and Gifts Committee has been undertaking since pretty much January. And we have taken our time, I hope, and done it right in your estimation, right down to making a suggested change to the ordinance under the duties section of the Preservation Commission, which specifically states that the duties will include the kinds of activities that the gifts and grants are looking to try to accomplish. So that is item B in the block of stuff that Sharon shared with you. And it's contained, the ordinance change is contained in about 6 or 7 sentences, not quite in the middle, but beginning on line 5 and ending on line 12. And would you like me to read it, or do you just want to say it all looks good?
So does anybody, because I recognize I was in some of these meetings, does anybody have questions about why this is happening? It was, and I mean, Pam put it in some of the memos, but it was in response to some of Clyde Robinson, the city attorney's reactions to questioning and wanting to kind of ensure that there would be no questioning coming from why are they doing this or why are they able to do this. So that's where this additional language came from, to specifically point out that the commission is able to do this action. Does that make sense to everyone? More or less. I probably did not. I did not explain it as well as I'm sure Clyde would, but I was trying to do.
But less time than Clyde.
Yeah.
The ordinance, I think, when it was first prepared, was purposefully ambiguous, which was great. And I think Clyde acknowledged that that was fine, but he did feel that in this particular case, it required a little bit more specificity. And so we added some lines to address exactly what the Grants and Gifts program is attempting to accomplish.
Now, this ordinance change will need to go to the city commission. That will not happen until at the absolute earliest mid-November, because they will not put anything on a business meeting just before the election. So it'll be mid-November, maybe by the end of the year, we'll be able to get this passed. But he wasn't able to give us a firm date on it. So other than that, it won't be before that middle of November meeting.
I have a question, Sharon. If they won't put anything on the agenda before an election, then why are they meeting?
Well, because they still have a lot, to do. They have stuff that they've been working on all along that they could continue, but he says they don't want to add any new items.
I see. Okay, that's helpful.
So do you think that they're, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Lene.
Do you think they're in this ordinance, do you think it needs to be some language in there regarding partnering with other organizations and outreach? And I know you mentioned it in I think one of these letters, but should that be an ordinance is the question, because, you know, I'm just gonna spitball. Let's say you want to partner with Stryker. Well, that it's a private organization, and they could come back and say, well, that may look suspicious with money, with government and things like that. So I don't know if you wanted to put that language in there, and as well as outreach, because another spitball, let's say you want to do a historic preservation 5K run. Well, you might want to, that advertising and that outreach, it may cross with some of the government's, rules, if you will, or laws. So I'm just spitballing.
Mhm. Well, in terms of partnering with for-profit entities, that's not a problem because that's already covered by city policy at a much higher level than
Okay.
our commission. And
Okay.
the same is true for fundraising. We've always been able to, set it, as long as we set it up within the rules of what the city considers appropriate, and transparency and all that kind of stuff. We have no problem with working with public
So,
and
okay,
private
so
entities.
you don't need to put it in here because you have the cities that supersedes it.
Correct. Yep. It's already there at a higher level.
Understand. Yep.
Good question.
No, that's a great question.
Any other questions regarding the ordinance change? Okay, then if we could look at the proposal for a gift to Community Homeworks. This is a recommendation that came out of several months worth of investigation. We were, and in fact, it was a topic of conversation with the city attorney, because he said, I'm not sure that the kind of work that is done by this program is covered under your ordinance. And that's one of the reasons that the ordinance change was instituted, or the proposed change was instituted. Because these are not what most communities would consider typical preservation grants and gifts, but one that really does, I think, strike at the root of the issue, which is if people cannot afford to fix the most important parts of the working pieces of their home, that leads to perhaps displacement, perhaps someone looking for a new home. And for the building, it means more often than not, unfortunately, here as well as in other places, a demolition. And that demolition leads to the diminution of entire neighborhoods as a result. So the committee felt very strongly that this was one of the most basic kinds of preservation gifts or grants that could be made, because it would help keep people in their homes, homeowners in their homes, because Community Homeworks has a program that makes sure that these kinds of repairs go to people who really truly need them in order to stay in their homes. And then we get to keep the building as well, and hopefully generate wealth for not just that family in the end when they cash in their asset, but for other generations that will follow behind them. Community Homeworks was chosen specifically because it is the only program that does, I'm going to sum it up in one sentence, it does these kinds of repairs with a trained staff for free to the homeowner. We investigated other programs, and there are some that make those kinds of repairs, but the homeowner has to pay for it. And if a homeowner can't pay for a new water heater, how are they going to pay someone to put it in? Do you understand what I'm saying? So all of those programs were good programs. We looked at another one that uses volunteer work, but we really did need a program that had trained staff that felt that they could meet the Secretary of Interior standards, because not all of these buildings, in fact, many of them would not likely be designated historic structures. They're going to be 50 years or older. And the major requirement on the part of this gift is that the work is done according to the Secretary of Interior standards, so that the important parts of the old house are saved for future generations, for future stewards of the property, and for the community and the neighborhood. We decided to recommend this as an outright gift as opposed to a competitive grant, because based on our research, Community Homeworks really is the only organization that is doing that in the city of Kalamazoo. By the way, we are looking for approval in concept only at this point, because we really can't move forward until the ordinance change is in place.
That's what I was gonna say. That's
Right.
yeah. Are there, so Pam did a giant synopsis and everything, all of our meetings just came screaming back through my head, all of our wonderful conversations. But does that make sense to everyone, or are there any questions that you have about this and this concept, this move and this choice to be made? It's kind of, I know it's kind of a lot, but as usual, Pam laid it out very nicely, so.
Just
So
to,
in lay,
oh,
so-
sorry, Sharon, go ahead, or whomever.
Lene,
I'm sorry. So in layman's terms, you're gonna give, the O'Connor Fund is gonna give the Community Homeworks Program funds. And then they write the check to the contractor or what have you, or do you write a check, or do they write a check directly to the resident?
There would be a grant made from the O'Connor Fund directly to Community Homeworks.
Mm-hmm,
If this proposal is approved, for an
mm-hmm,
amount between $5,000 and $10,000.
Mhm.
There is an agreement in your packet that has been set up for Community Homeworks, between Community Homeworks and the Preservation Commission. And they would receive it directly, and either their staff or their trained contractors will do the work in consultation with the preservation coordinator.
okay.
But the money will just, it'll be in their account. We won't be writing individual checks to individual property owners or contractors. It'll be like, this is the O'Connor Fund at Community Homeworks, and this, we're gonna take the money out of this, so.
Okay,
So we, at this point, Regina, we can, let's at least address approval and concept. We can do these individually or all together.
we should probably do at least the ordinance separate, I would think, since that, I mean, it is, yes, approval in concept, since we can't approve it, but approval to push it forward. But I think that should maybe be pulled out separately from the agreement. So then we would do that one. Does that sound right, Sharon?
I would do the ordinance change as approved and ask to send on to the city attorney for action. The gift to community homework should just be an approval in concept, pending the the ordinance change.
Okay. So is there a motion? So we're going back to the code amendment. Well, first off, does everybody feel comfortable with the language? I know we talked through it, but now we've looked at it again. So does everybody feel comfortable with making the motion, or making a motion to approve the amended language? So that section in red to the KHPC's current ordinance. So is there a motion to move this language forward to City Commission?
I motion to move the language to the City Commission.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Would you like to move forward on an approval and concept for the community homeworks gift?
yes. So like Pam said, so approval and concept, and she has added both the letter kind of outlining the plan, a draft of an agreement, and etc. You know, all the great things. So what we would just be talking about at this point is approval of, like Pam said, the basically approval of the idea and concept. So the approval of the idea of making this gift to the community homeworks, not right now with a dollar attached to it. That we'll have to vote on later. So does anybody motion to approve the this in concept?
I move to approve said motion. I can't repeat what you said, but
Said
I don't know if
motion.
that's,
This is what I have is approve the community homeworks gift as specified in item B of the meeting packet. Approval in concept.
All right,
I move to approve the concept. See if I can remember this, in item B of the packet. I think I left something out.
No, you got it.
yeah,
May I add something for your consideration to that motion? To be acted upon following ordinance approval or ordinance changes to
Pending.
the ordinance.
pending ordinance change.
Right.
Okay. So then the amended statement, gotta love these long ones, sir. The amended statement would be approval and concept of a gift to community homeworks from the O'Connor Fund pending ordinance approval or ordinance amendment approval.
Yes.
All right. So with that updated one, does anybody want to motion?
You got me scrambled. This
All you
is,
have to say,
Just, you could,
say I so move.
okay, there, that's what I was looking for. I so move.
all right. Is there a second?
This
Second.
All right.
is as tough as wedding vows.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. That's why Sharon's there, to make sure she keeps us all in line.
Thank you, Fred and Kyle. Kyle, it's nice to see your face up there.
I figured out how to do it.
Yeah. So the next direct gift recommendation is even more a little bit in concept based, particularly on the conversation we had earlier. And it addresses making a direct gift to the Truth and Racial Healing Initiative at the Community Foundation for its historical and cultural landscape project. And I think it is still okay to consider an endorsement in concept for this, but it appears that there's probably quite a bit more discussion that needs to take place before the commission is ready to act on it. Because there will need to be an initial discussion and then probably some discussion with either Michelle representing the initiative or someone else at the Community Foundation or both of them.
Yeah.
Not sure. I had a hard time untangling even this much of it because there's not a lot of information on the website right now. So just as a reminder, we have actually been talking about this since July of 2020, not this specific gift recommendation, but about the idea. So
Yeah.
I'll leave it to all of you to make a decision about whether or not you want to act on the idea in concept or not. But I would say that if you choose to do that, it might leave then an intention on our part that could go into the work plan for the commission for next year to get resolved and acted on, either to confirm it or wait or look for another opportunity.
I don't know if anybody else wants to speak, but I guess I'm of the mind to wait until we can figure things out. But I understand too that our intention is still there. It's not necessarily focused on a recipient, but there's some untangling that I want. There's some clarity that I think I would like us to have, but that's my opinion.
I'm lost. This request, is it historical cultural?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So this is talking through what we could potentially do to support the historical and cultural landscape project, which
Yeah.
from our understanding is centered in the Kalamazoo Community Foundation under TRHT.
Okay.
But in some comments with Michelle, it seems like, I don't know if the project has just expanded, or I would assume that the funding base would still be the Community Foundation, since that's where TRHT is. So I would assume that part of it may not change. But I think that there may be some more going on that we don't know about yet. That either with the project or with the project heads, or
I mean, this is something so new that I think everybody is still kind of reformulating what's happening and, working with ideas and projects and stuff. Keeping in mind that this is a public document and this meeting is a public thing, I think it might look awkward if we did an approval now and then decided in a month or two that, oh, no, we really want the money to go this way. We don't want it to look like it was, money withdrawn, just that we're reconsidering what our options are to meet the goal of a more diverse and inclusive history of Kalamazoo.
I would, I'm sorry, I'd have to be the killjoy because I would want some additional information, some clarity. That's just my personal opinion because I guess my mindset is I don't want us to end up being the responsible party for something that we supported something that was not acceptable, or you know what I'm saying? We didn't have all the information. So I would just prefer to, I'm not saying no, I just don't understand what all they're doing, I guess. So
yeah. Pam?
I hope respond to Lene's concerns, although it won't be an answer necessarily. But the recommendation was based specifically on a statement that is made on the Community Foundation's website about THRT, and it says, among other things, the landscape will focus on up to 12 significant locations in the Kalamazoo community to create a shared understanding of the history of those locations within a cultural context. And just so for everyone's information, I don't have anything invested in whether or not you vote for it in concept or not, except that we put a lot of conversation and thought into it before we made the recommendation. But it says the project aims to tell Kalamazoo's social justice stories and strategies of insistence and resistance. In particular, they are intended to be useful tools to help teachers, artists, parents, tour guides, and visitors interpret specific narratives in a historical context. So that is pretty meaty.
It is, but how are they going to do that? I guess.
That's the part that isn't clear yet.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is
I
the
don't-
part that's not clear, and that is specifically why there is no agreement here, and why I said in the cover memo that this probably needs some more discussion.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, I would.
I'm not sure, based on what I've heard earlier, that what is there is in fact still the case, or whether it maybe has changed with the passage of time and more discussion.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
I'm not debating that it needs to have, we should have some kind of markers or what have you. I just want to be clear on what do you do, how are you going to exhibit that? Because, do we want to exhibit, naked women because that was the history of Kalamazoo? Well, I don't know if the Historical, Preservation Commission wants to support that. So what are they trying to do to fulfill the definition you just gave and the descriptions you just gave? That I guess that's where I'm at. What are they doing? I know I can't support naked people, so I can't.
and I don't think that even the Community Foundation has decided, just based on the fact of how hard it is to extract information about this project from their website. I think they haven't even really decided exactly how things are going, other than they're doing some programs and online meetings with people that have been fascinating to listen to. So, we can just, if you table a project, you're tabling it and something needs to be done before the end of the meeting. If you're postponing it, it can be postponed to another meeting for more consideration.
Well, then I move to postpone it for more consideration.
Okay. Does anyone second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Kyle?
I mean, it seems like it doesn't matter either way. It needs to be developed further. So sure, I will vote to postpone as well.
Okay.
If I may, a final comment on this, or maybe not a final comment on this. This very situation is one of the reasons why I think that either at least one additional preservation commission join that initial meeting between Sharon and Dr. Johnson and hopefully Regina, because we're going to need some initiative to carry it on and have a full discussion about it. I think there are lots of ways in which the Preservation Commission's job intersects with the job that is described in this project. So there's a huge amount of potential there, but we need a couple of commissioners and some institutional memory to help carry it forward. Besides just me.
You don't want to be the institutional memory, the in all
Not
caps?
all of it.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Thanks anyway.
No, thank you, Pam. Yeah, well,
Let me check with Michelle, because I want to be sure that I'm not imposing more on her than she's ready to take on right now. And a meeting with the two of us, we're cool with that. But I don't think she may not be ready to have another subcommittee coming at her. So I just want to get to know her a little bit more.
Sounds good.
Since this is an unofficial meeting, it's just the two of us getting together to kind of sort things out.
okay. Pam, did you want to talk through?
The grant application?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
there was one note, and either Sharon or Pam can correct me if I'm wrong. I remembered us talking through potentially not including requiring people to attend the meeting, but was it to present the application? I swear we had a conversation about not trying to make sure that it wasn't required.
We did have a conversation about it, and I think that it has. Did you find a place where it had or had not been addressed?
Well, it's in the application on page 1 of the application.
Yeah, so in the bolded portion, it says it's very important you attend the meeting to
On page
present your
1?
application. Yeah, so in the draft 2, July 21, it's the sentence right before the guidelines towards the bottom of the page.
I must be missing the page.
Oh,
Page 3. Guidelines. I have policies and preferences. The only thing that's bold on the copy that I have, Regina, on the first page is total project cost.
oh,
I must be missing something. Forgive me. I found
no,
it.
that's okay.
I found it. My mistake. I was looking at the wrong page.
Oh, okay.
No, you're right. We did agree that it was not going to be a requirement or even say that it was very important.
Okay.
But we were going to invite them to join
Yes.
if they wished.
Yes.
I will make that correction, and my apologies for not having caught it.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was reading it and then I thought maybe my memory went away. Sorry, I jumped right into a nitty gritty. So this is the layout that has been pulled together to put out for people to apply for grants. So this would be separate of the community homeworks grant. This would be the wider granting ability that we've talked about, which is where the ordinance change comes in, because it's talking about, the building projects and then also preservation planning projects. So this is basically the process for the concept that is separate of the direct community homeworks one. So this would be what other grants would look like. Is that a good synopsis, Pam?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
Okay.
For people that are interested in either doing planning work for a historic place or actual work on a historic place, this could be an opportunity for them to get some assistance for that project.
So is this going to be like a once a year or rolling basis, or changes based on funding availability, or how's this going to work?
Good big picture question. We talked about that, but I think in our minds, although it is not stated here, we were thinking about an annual call for grants. Is that right, Regina, as you recollect?
That was the last that we talked about, because we were a little concerned, kind of like when we've talked about O'Connor Fund stuff here, where we just wanted to make sure that the spendable amount was something that was reliable. So we weren't like overreaching or underreaching, because it felt like it was important to be able to present something that people would become familiar with and know that it's there as a resource, and would have an idea of the sort of dollar amounts that would be able to be accessed in this. So we were we just wanted to give away all the money, but
wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Except if we gave away all the money, there wouldn't be any money later.
Well, yeah,
There's that.
There's that part.
I suspect, Kyle, in all honesty, that there could be years, given the market, because the spendable portion of the O'Connor Fund is based on the income and a percentage of the corpus, if you will, that is spendable. And there's a somewhat complicated, at least to me, formula that the community foundation uses to figure out how much of the big pot of money we can spend. So if we were to, for example, make two $10,000 gifts in 2022 or beyond, it would reduce the spendable portion. We would still earn, based on today's market right now, the fund is earning about $10,000 a year. But as someone who's been with it since 2001, I've seen it go up and then really down, and then up again, and then down again, and up again. So it is subject to what's available. Yes. I would say it would not behoove the commission to put out a call for grants that could be awarded for between $2,000 and $10,000 if there's only 1,800 in the spendable portion, because a lot of it that was there before has already been given away, obviously. But the idea is to put it out annually and make some gifts according to whatever the commission feels is important based on what it has to spend. Long answer.
Essentially, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
I would just, I'm sorry, Killjoy again. I would just probably put some kind of verbiage in here about repeat applications, stating that it has to be a different issue. Because here's the thing, you can get 10,000 this year for the roof, and then next year I'll finish the roof, and then the following year I'm going to top off the roof. It's the same roof. You know what I'm saying? So there needs to be some kind of verbiage that the additional applications are not for the same issue. You understand?
I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure I agree.
Okay.
Because if the opportunity to apply for a grant is out there,
Mhm.
and a past recipient has taken their previous grant and done a good job, but there is still work to do, well, that necessarily wouldn't give them an elevated opportunity to receive a grant in the future. I don't think if the work still needs to be done, they should be prohibited from making an application, particularly if they've done good work.
Yeah, well, I wasn't specifically talking about good work, and I'm not saying that they can't reapply, but do you want them to reapply for the same issue? That's my concern, because again, if I apply for the $10,000 this year and that'll rip off the roof, then the next year I apply and that'll take care of the shingles. Then the next year, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Right.
we're still talking about the same issue.
Right, it is. It is.
Can't reapply.
But remember that according to the application, the way it is right now, the project has to be completed within a specified period of time.
Okay, I must have missed that.
Well,
So
no,
you may have someone that needs a roof, and they may get $10,000 from this fund. They might get another $6,000 from another fund, and then they might get some from fundraising within their own group. And so they've got enough money to complete the whole thing. We're not meant to be the only funding source for
Right,
a
and
lot
I
of
see.
projects.
Right, and I see you say in here that they have to have 60% funding already raised. I see that. So I'm just, there are shysters in the world. I'm sorry. And, we'll end up building a whole house, because they'll try to apply every year. And also I want others to have an opportunity, to, if they want to, build, do whatever they need to do for their property. So that's all. I just wanted to be able to share.
well, first of all, if I may respond to Sharon's comment about it's for an entire project. If they're asking us for money to take the old shingles off so that they can rebuild their roof, and that is what they're asking for, then the decision needs to be made on what they're asking for and what else we've learned about their project through the through the application process. If they come back the following year and there are no viable other applications, and that year they want to finish flashing the chimney for $3,000, I don't know why we shouldn't consider. I think some of it needs to be left up to the folks that are making the decision about the grants. When we first started out, Lene, we had like a 6-page application. And it was ridiculous because these are not $100,000 grants. At the most, they're $10,000 grants. So we need to be, I think, a little bit more flexible than you would be if you were giving away $100,000 at a time. And so whomever is making the decision will need to base an application for a chimney flashing to a same party, which has already been funded for removing their shingles and has got their new roof on, to another house that also needs a new roof. There will be ways to grade those, and I think, don't we have some grading?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
I think, and I understand, Lene, that the concerns, because I had similar thoughts, but I think some of that repeat shystiness might be handled in the review process, which is the part of this that hasn't really been completely formed yet. We've kind of done the front end paper, and I mean, like Pam said, there's grading, and we've set out sort of like metric concepts of how we can do this. But I think a lot of the concerns and questions hopefully will be resolved once we have the review process set up and laid out and clear. Because I think,
and that will be that transparency of letting them know that, because it becomes, oh, how do we know that we were chosen fairly? So if you have that grading available to people so they know this is why he won, these were the points that they were looking at. And that's pretty much the same point I'm making. How are we going to make sure that it's just not Bob the Builder every year? Because, he's a good writer. Okay, well, that's nice. Now, one of the things you said, house. It doesn't have to be a house, does it? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. Because somebody might buy a building and they want to, have it fixed up. So I just want to make sure. No, I think this is awesome.
Right, under eligibility requirements, there are 4 items. Needs to be in the city of Kalamazoo, owned by a 501c3, a public agency, or a governmental unit. We did talk about the possibility of extending it to for-profit property owners as well. We, according to the city attorney, would be within our right to do that if we chose to do that. The city already has those kinds of programs in place, but for right now, this is what we have decided to approach because we felt perhaps that was where the greatest need was. The building has to be 50 years or more old, and it needs to be originally constructed as one of several types. So, yeah. Actually, we didn't address residences, but residences are being addressed in the proposed community homeworks project.
Yeah. So Pam, would you would you like us to look at concept approval on this, or are you, yes?
Yeah, I would say,
Okay.
for the same reasons, we don't have the ordinance language expanded
Mhm.
yet. And so, yes, if you could, and I'm happy to make the change that was pointed out earlier.
So does anyone have any questions or comments lingering? If not, then we're looking at approval of concept for the proposed grants material packet, basically, for approval of concept pending the ordinance update with the city. Is that more or less?
I would say the application packet.
Okay. So Sharon, what did you write down?
I've got move to approve the grant application packet as presented in concept. Pending ordinance changes.
Okay. So if anybody wants to first that, you can say so moved without repeating everything.
I'm on mute, sorry, so moved.
So moved. All right, Lenny, is there a second?
Second.
Oh, Kyle seconds. All right, all in favor? Aye. All right,
Thanks, everyone.
thank you, Pam.
Yeah, thank you, Pam, these are good ideas, nice and fresh.
All right, do we make it through Pam's dissertation? Yes.
Got great ideas.
Yeah, they really are. All right. So OHOW, no report. Is that still true?
Yep.
All right. So now we're on to item C, which is the survey. No report, Sharon?
No, not
You're
really.
good? Okay.
Nope, no report right now.
Okay. And on to cemetery project, which I know there's a report because I saw it. Kyle.
There's that mute button. All right. Yeah, you probably all saw the page. We've got several other photos of before and afters. What are we doing with those, Sharon? Are we just saving them for later? Or?
Just saving them, yeah, just to use as illustrations. So
I'd say it went really well. Like it said, we had about 15 people. We just sort of spread out and dodged the lawn mowing as it happened.
Oh boy.
Okay, back up. Do we have a website that we can add content to?
no. We have the OHOW Facebook page. We have the Hidden Kalamazoo Facebook page. But, and I've asked the city whether I can have could we have an HPC Facebook page with all the different things we're doing? And so far the answer has been not very positive. They haven't absolutely ruled it out, but they want to try to keep what's happening in, just have it regular city news rather than our own committee. But I'm going to keep pushing on that because that would be such an easy way just to get the word out to people.
All right, well, so you just said Facebook page, you're trying to go for a Facebook page or a website?
We do not have a website, no.
But are you working towards getting a website or you?
Not really, because we are a city appointed commission and our news and our, media stuff and all that sort of stuff should actually go through the city, and they can put it on the city Facebook page or, send out a news release depending on what it is. So
well, and maybe okay, let me rephrase that. can we have a web page of the city? And so like it's on the web site for the city, but you have like you can click this and you take you to your page, and on your page we could put stuff like this before, and you know, things that we've been doing on the page so that people can see our accomplishments.
Right. We do have a web page, but it's the informational page the city has about the Preservation Commission in general and about historic sites. I don't, it's like, I'm not sure that we could do that because there aren't any other city boards or commissions that have that asset to be able to do things. But we're kind of a special case, to be honest. You know, we do a lot of outreach activities that are for fundraisers and getting people engaged and that kind of thing. And I don't know.
Which warrants us to have a page. I agree it should stay on the city website, but the page should be a little bit more built out so that we can add all of this stuff, because I can pretty much guarantee majority of Kalamazoo residents have no clue of the different things that we do, because this would be awesome if you could have a repository area of all your pictures that you've done and the award ceremony pictures and things like that. And while the Facebook page is nice, you can't query or look at specifically what you have to scroll through everything to get to where you're trying to get to. So, you know, and I'm of the impression you have not because you asked not. So maybe those other committees don't have, you know, anything to show, but we do. And you're right, we're different. I like being different.
Right. So, I mean, I could see that because we have kind of, it's moribund, but we still have a Hidden Kalamazoo webpage. We've got a Facebook page for Hidden Kalamazoo and for OHAO.
One for Bronson Park out there still.
Facebook page.
And all of those could be on your web page.
That might be something that the key thing would be that it need to be a very simple link that people could get right in to the city the city's page for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a link. I mean, it's
not hard. Let me think about that. Let me talk to people, you know, about it and see if we can come up with something that would fulfill the ability for people to be able to easily find out what we're up to, but wouldn't necessarily give us something that nobody else has. Although we can always ask. Like, you're right. You never know if you don't ask.
And it would be awesome like that. The properties that we just gave awards to, that they are on a website.
Well, they were actually, they were put out on the Facebook page. Okay, so that did go out there, but
you have to scroll through all the Facebook posts to get to
our stuff.
Yeah. It's just a lot.
Yep.
But this is a thought.
Let me inquire.
Okay.
It's a good thought. Kyle, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
I think we just plan on doing it again in the spring, right?
Right. I was thinking that it might be worthwhile to go ahead and approach Public Works about let us know when the water's going to go on, because we've got to have the water as the first step. And if it's before the beginning of May, and it usually is, maybe plan on our next event being maybe the first weekend in May, just to kind of kick off Spring and Preservation Month.
And then there were those few people asking if they could do it on their own time. Was there anything figured out about?
I'm waiting for an answer on that, but right now I don't think anybody, as long as they just stuck to water, I don't think anybody would stop them. No one would be upset at it.
Yeah.
The big question is liability, whether the people who are doing the work are wise enough not to fuss with the large monuments and do more than needs to be done, because one of those pieces falling on you could maim you or kill you. So, and we just don't want that. So we got some details to work out with. And one of the things I was considering is doing sort of a formal training. You know, you come and you do this half-day training about how to do this work or whatever it is, and then you get on the list of authorized to clean for the city. I don't know if they'd go for that or not, but like Renee said, if you don't ask, you don't know. But there were very few people that were very enthusiastic. Ed, at least I know, has been back a couple more times cleaning things. He apparently got ran out of the cemetery the other day by some turkeys. 4 big turkeys decided he shouldn't do it.
Kyle, these look awesome. I'm sorry I couldn't come. Long story, but anyway, these look awesome, and I think they should. You know, your work and your team should be recognized for that. So,
yep. I want to go back and look at the one, because I did the one that's labeled Marsh, because if the DE D2 has been working, it should be even cleaner than that now, because it continues to work even after you stop scrubbing. So I'm curious just to go back and say, okay, how's it looking now, and take another after picture. It was surprisingly more fun than I thought it would be, you know, and people just, it's like, okay, we need to stop now. Oh, just one more, please. Just one more. That's what that last obelisk is. And Jen said, I just want to do one more. And so we both worked on it together. So,
yeah, looks awesome.
I see this as not necessarily, our only goal here is not cleaning the gravestones. What it's doing is, enlisting people who have not been involved with preservation themselves yet in a project that's a very simple introductory step into preservation. We had 3 young ladies there with Rachel Hughes Nielsen who needed points. They needed hours for their senior project, you know, to graduate from high school. And like, if we can tap into more of that, that would be just really wonderful. And, you know, Boy Scouts or anybody else that needs a project to work on. If this could be people with good knees that can bend over easily. It's a good thing.
Still love a knuckle healing.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I got some dings, but that was okay. It was fun.
All right. Kyle, if there aren't any more comments or anything, if you're set.
Good.
Okay. Preservation Month. I don't have a report for Preservation Month. Designation and sites. I don't think we have a report for that either. Right, Sharon?
Yep, you're right.
Okay. All right. Sustainability.
So I did send out all the stuff that is written, and I think poor Kyle was just like, oh boy, because it's 31 stories, each of 2 or 3 pages. Yeah. So it's a lot. But I did find that Lynn had done some and I had done some, and I would not say they are by any means final copy, but I think they're getting very close. So if anybody wants to send me, you know, comments, changes, just send back the document, the individual document. I've been using strike through for take this out and highlight it in yellow for added. I know that's not the way you do it in Word, but then I always get lost in Word and lose my document. So we're going to do it the old fashioned way. So, but if you have any comments or if you want to read it, let me know and I'll send you a copy. It's really not that big a document. I think it's under 5 megs, even with all the text. There's no photos with it yet. It's just the documents.
Right.
So that's the best we could do for sustainability right now. It's not going to be ready for Christmas 2021.
No. Yeah. Do you feel now that you've gone back to it, you feel heartened?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be picking the photos and then seeing if Arcadia Press is still interested. And if they are, I think, you know, it's just really going to be getting all the details together, getting the permissions that we need, putting together a bibliography. You know, it's all the finishing things. I think we've got the bulk of the text, I think, is ready to go. And the introduction, there's not an introduction yet.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or no? All right. Operations. I've been trying to get on Christina's schedule and it has not worked as of yet. But I'm not too sad about it because I'm going to try to get on her schedule for the quarterly swing. And I think that Josh might have been quarterly, the meeting would be October. So if I can hit it by November, I feel like we'll be all right going into the next year. So I don't have a lot to report. I'm sorry.
Who's Christine?
My boss.
Oh, yeah, Sharon's boss. Christina Anderson, she is, what's her official title? She's
Head of the planning department. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
well, we just tried to stay in contact with her and let her know what we were doing and whether, and she always wanted to know whether there was something she could facilitate. She told me today that she had a call from Josh yesterday and that he has settled into his apartment in a rehabilitated old county courthouse in Massachusetts, and he loves it there. So he's having a good time.
That's right up his alley, huh?
Yeah.
He sent me some really nice pictures, and I sent them on to Plaza Corp to kind of give them an idea of this is one of the many ways you could possibly redo this wonderful building while respecting its character, you know, so.
Mm-hmm. Pam.
On that topic, I do hope that you'll be able to meet with Christina soon because there's a big transition coming up.
I know.
And I'd like to hear what her perspective is for a new preservation coordinator.
I can fill you in on some of that. The job posting went out today. And we are tentatively, very tentatively planning on hopefully the new person's first day will be right about the 13th of December. And there will be a 3-week to month-long overlap between me and the new person. So, and we're just working on a lot of technical details, like who's going to pay me for that overlap time, you know, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be, that's just very tentative. But it went out today. All the applications and stuff will be due by November 2nd. And then we'll start interviews as quickly as we can. Highly likely that they will be Zoom or remote, some in person if people can make it. But if we get a really good applicant from San Antonio, I don't want to, you know, make it too hard for them if we can just do it over Zoom. So, and I will be part of the review committee.
Sharon, can you share the link to the posting with us?
Sure.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, I will get on her books, as it were. I'll get things scheduled. All right. Old and new business. Ending project Kalamazoo Lost and Found. Item D, there are notes from Pam about digging.
Yes, and I do have a couple of updates on that.
Okay.
Just information from this week before this was written. The construction for the new building that was supposed to have started at Kazoo Books last week has not yet started. The ground is prepped. Looks like they're ready, but there's no activity in terms of actual construction yet. But I will, as I said, check back with her later this month on that. And with regard to the digitization, I think I reported at an earlier meeting that we had requested that all 3 of the books, not just Lost and Found, but also Kalamazoo 19th Century Homes in a Midwestern Village and Walking Through Time, all be put in viewer mode for easy reading by folks who were going to hopefully pick it up and have a look, or do some reading, or do some research. And the first of those books, the oldest of those books, which is 40 years old this year, Walking Through Time, is ready to go. They've put it into the viewer for a test. And myself, Lynn Houghton, and Peter Brakeman are commenting on that. We have been specifically asked not to share it any further than that for right now. But we also know that they're getting ready to load up the other 2 books as well. Keith Howard, who is our liaison at KPL, has said that he will be on vacation. I think it's beginning the 28th of this month for 2 weeks. He expects to have that part of it done. And he seemed to think that the commission's goal of having this wrapped up, at least in that regard, that part of the project by the end of the year seems doable right now.
Awesome.
So I'll let you know next month.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I think Peter's book is the oldest one, Pam. Walking Through Time is 81, and 19th Century Homes is 76, 77.
Is it?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like the other one acts like the oldest because it falls apart.
Yes. Yes.
You think it's the oldest because the binding doesn't work.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Item 9, approval of meeting notes from September 8th. Did anyone note anything that needed to be changed or updated?
Did not.
I was
Well,
gonna say, I'm thinking at you, Kyle, but I'm not I'm not saying it, but I'm thinking at you.
Well, you can take off the, did HPC approve the budget? Because
Right. I will
Yeah,
before
That
goes
can get
in.
dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the answer is no, so. Yeah, no, I didn't see anything else.
All right. Is there a motion to approve meeting notes as amended with the dropping of the comment, like Lene pointed out?
I motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second? Thank you, Lene.
Second.
Fred, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now we're back to Sharon. Coordinator's report.
Yeah. Well, any questions about what's there? Here we go.
I liked the picture of the receiving vault.
Yeah, it's Nelson and I just finished going through the receiving vault, and
Now,
He's-
what is that in there? What is that?
the receiving vault is that little chapel inside Mountain Home Cemetery. Looks
Oh, I
like
won't be
it's-
going in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Except it's not a chapel, it's a receiving vault.
Yeah, it looks like a
It's
little
little.
chapel.
But Nelson said, well, the front of this, the marble part of it was probably designed by an architect based on the measurements, but the back end where they put the concrete addition on somewhere in the following decade was not. And he was a little critical of the non-architect, but he said that since the diamond pattern floor on the inside the receiving vault is the same as the one that was on the porch of Ladies Library, he is wondering whether the same architect might have been involved. Like Amar Embry II being involved in both the Civic Theater and Stetson Chapel, because he just happened to be in town working on one, so they grabbed him to work on another one. So that's something that Lynn is fiddling with a little bit, and I'm working on just to see if we can get an answer to that.
Or it could have been a serious situation of leftover materials.
No, because they're, and Nelson and I are debating whether they are actually cast concrete, which they might be, or whether they are tiles. Again, they still could be concrete. Were they cast in place, or were they placed after they had been cast elsewhere? We don't know. And without tearing it apart, there's probably no way to know for sure, unless we can stumble across little tidbit of an article in the Telegraph or the Gazette saying, by the way, they're working on the receiving vault at Mountain Home again. So, yeah, so we spent a couple hours there measuring and trying to figure out what happened when and where it went. And yeah, it's an interesting little building.
It is a little creepy though, Lene. You got to go in with a buddy.
No, I won't.
It's not like you'll get lost.
No, it's very small. Yeah.
I'll get shut in. That's what
All right.
Let's do it on Halloween.
Oh man. Sharon, did you have anything else, or did anybody have any questions for Sharon?
Nope, I covered my retirement and what's going to be happening with that. So
Yep.
Christina did urge both the commissions to, even if there's not much business to transact, that if we do have our new person by the 13th, that we meet anyway to get to know them a little bit, and maybe just to do a little bit of a retreat and think about things we might want to consider in the coming year.
Okay.
Not a formal retreat, but just have a chance to discuss and consider ideas.
All right. Are there any citizen comments on non-agenda items?
No citizen comments at this time.
Thank you. I saw Pam's hand go up. Pam.
Thank you. Just a reminder to the commissioners, again, the National Trust Conference takes place in early November. I sent everyone information on it. It's very inexpensive to attend. There are lots of, I think, topics being discussed that are the kinds of things that have been in the forefront of the commission's mind this past year and a half or more. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the Preservation Commission still has an agreement to reimburse for registration fees.
Yes.
So again, just a suggestion that you consider it, at least go in and look at the agenda, because there's lots of good stuff there. I'll be there virtually a lot of the time anyway.
All right. Thank you, Pam. Now we're on to commissioner comments. Any commissioner comments? No? All right. Then all we need is somebody to move to adjourn.
I moved to adjourn because I'm running out of juice on my computer.
That is a great reason. All
I just
right.
plugged in.
All right. Then we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Night.
See ya.
Have a good night.